Welcome to your sleeping quarters for tonight. Don't you think it suits you perfectly? On my first visit, my mother-in-law Haley, with a smirk on her face, showed me to a shed. Literally a rusty shed in the backyard. All this just because I work as a cleaning lady. As my anger flared, a mattress that seemed to move on its own crept up behind me. My name is Aria. I'm 28 and work for a cleaning company. Raised in a family without a father, I had no money for college, so I started working in a cleaning company right after high school. Be it a restaurant, an office tower, or a hotel, I'd go wherever the job takes me and make sure it shines when I leave. People might not think much of my job, but my CEO tells me, "Be proud. You're supporting the unseen side of our glorious society." I've worked hard for 10 years, and I continue to do so with pride. The one who chose me as his partner is Luke, who is 2 years older than me. We met while I was cleaning a luxury hotel. He was the only one who noticed me and said, "I can work comfortably thanks to Aria." Luke comes from a family that owns a high-end hotel, and he himself has an impressive educational and career background. But he doesn't flaunt it. He's a genuinely nice guy. I think he's too good for me. My friends tease me, calling it a Cinderella story, but they all genuinely congratulate me. However, just like in Cinderella, there are those who don't bless our union. That would be Haley. After Luke and I got engaged, we had our first family meeting with the in-laws at a restaurant. Both of them exuded elegance, fitting for people who run a high-end hotel. But the moment Haley heard about my job, her face twisted, failing to maintain her composure. "A cleaning lady?" Luke, looking happy, defended me, saying, "Yes, it's because of Aria and her team that the hotel gets such great reviews from guests." Smiling in the same way as Luke, my father-in-law Grayson chimed in. "That's wonderful. Maybe you can come clean our hotel sometime, right, Haley?" Sure." Grayson gave a half-hearted smile when asked for his agreement, but it was clear his eyes weren't smiling. After the meal, I found myself under immediate attack. As Grayson and Luke left the table to settle the bill, Haley, with a stormy expression, grabbed my arm. "So, how did you, a mere cleaner, seduce my Luke?" Seduce? What are you talking about? You know you're not good enough for him, right? If it's money you want, I can provide. Just leave him." I can't believe this. As I was stunned by her audacity, Grayson returned after settling the bill. "Haley, we're leaving." "All right." "Remember your place." Haley threatened me in a low voice and left elegantly to join Grayson. "Aria, sorry to keep you waiting. Is something wrong?" No, it's nothing." Luke looked worried, seeing my pale face. I was left speechless, rattled by the sudden shift in Haley's behavior and her threats. I was tormented. Haley's words ate at me, causing stomach-churning distress. Luke was busy with overtime for the wedding and honeymoon. The mood wasn't right for a heart-to-heart. On weekends, he joyfully carried on with wedding preparations and talked about inheriting the hotel with me one day. I couldn't bring myself to mention Haley's threats. The wedding went off without a hitch, and the atmosphere was serene. Haley smiled as she greeted those around her, appearing to be a mother delighted by her son's wedding. She never looked my way, but I was relieved that nothing went wrong during the ceremony. The honeymoon was delightful, and married life was smooth sailing. 4 months after the wedding, in mid-February, the busy hotel season ended, and Luke and I visited the in-laws' house for the first time. Grayson had a meeting, so Haley welcomed us. "I've missed you, Luke. It's cold. Come in." "Yeah, Aria, let's go inside." As Luke urged me to enter, Haley stopped me. "Wait, I want Aria to come with me to the hotel." "What?" I was taken aback by her sudden request. "You've never been, right? I want to introduce the future general manager to everyone." "Then I'll go too." Luke showed concern, but Haley held my hand and smiled warmly. "Come on, it's easier for women to talk when it's just us, right, Aria?" Well, let's go." I was pushed into Haley's car, overwhelmed by her imposing yet seemingly kind demeanor. I left a puzzled Luke behind as Haley drove me to the hotel. Did she finally accept me as her daughter-in-law? That flicker of hope was quickly shattered. Her smile from earlier vanished. like some kind of wicked sorcerer had cast a spell. Haley's profile as she drove was devilish. The drive lasted a silent and excruciating 15 minutes. Our destination was a hotel with a beautifully landscaped garden and a grand facade. Before I could even appreciate it, Haley guided me toward the employee entrance. Then she handed me a uniform. "Change into this." "What?" Annoyed, Haley let out an exaggerated sigh. "Did you actually think you could become a general manager? How clueless." "That's not what I meant." "Well, you look better in a work uniform than in formal wear. Once you're changed, show off those cleaning skills that Luke fell in love with." "But planning to defy your mother-in-law? Shows your bad upbringing." I considered fighting back, but then I thought of Luke's face. Satisfied with my silence, Haley smirked menacingly. "Be careful. There are art pieces here that are more valuable than you. You know what happens if you break anything, right?" Tossing a vacuum cleaner and bucket at my feet, Haley quickly disappeared. I clenched my teeth. For the next 3 hours, I diligently cleaned the hotel, receiving various directions and warnings from Haley. The other employees would look at me with pity, saying things like, "Oh, another newbie getting hazed." No one seemed to realize that I was the wife of the successor. While I took pride in cleaning, doing it while being looked down upon and pitied felt horrible. As guests started to check in, I was finally relieved from duty and taken back to the in-laws' house. Exhausted, I stepped out of the car to find Luke rushing to greet me. "I've been waiting for you, Arya. How was our hotel? It's old, but it has its own charm, right?" "Luke?" I returned his genuine question with a complicated smile. Just when I thought I could finally sit down and catch my breath, Haley blocked my way. "What do you think you're doing? Walking in like you belong. How audacious." "What? Mom, what's going on?" Next to me, Luke looked at Haley, just as surprised. Finally, Haley dropped her facade in front of Luke and bared her fangs at me. She must have been thrilled by making me work like a dog at the hotel. But Haley wasn't done yet. "Your sleeping quarters are over there." Pointing, she indicated a small, aged shed that was barely 6 feet square. This wasn't a charming cabin from a fairy tale. It was a storage shed for bikes and farming tools. Certainly not a place for a person to spend the night. Luke finally snaps, losing his patience with Haley. "What are you even talking about, Mom?" "We own a prestigious hotel, Luke. We can't let just anyone in, especially not someone of her stature. That goes for dining and accommodations." "Are you serious?" "Luke, you're the heir to this historic hotel. Carry yourself accordingly, or you'll be taken advantage of by gold diggers." "Arya is not like that. She takes pride in her work." "Do you really think a woman with no money or status, who can only clean, isn't after our wealth?" "Mom!" Luke's face turns beet red. His shoulders shake visibly. I've had enough of Haley's reprehensible comments as well. Mother-in-law? General manager of a historic hotel? So what? Maybe my family couldn't afford college, but my mom raised me with love. Cleaning isn't a job to be looked down upon. If I were really tricking Luke or stealing, then sure, call me out. But don't disparage my mom or this job based on prejudice. Even if you are my mother-in-law. Enough is enough. Excuse me? Haley sounds taken aback. She probably never expected me to talk back. I dropped my forced smile and looked Haley squarely in the eye. Sure, I'm not wealthy and don't have a glamorous background like Luke, but my mom worked hard to raise me. I won't let you insult her. You can say whatever you want. I take pride in my work as a cleaner, whether it's a high-end hotel or a historic one. If no one cleans it, the place will just decay, much like your own hotel. What? Haley's eyes widen in anger. Yes, it's hard not to notice after being made to clean so much. The differences between this hotel and others I've cleaned? The public areas, like the lobby, were immaculate, but the hallways and plumbing, a complete mess. You might cover it up by saying the hotel is historic, but discerning guests will notice. How dare you? Our guests are always satisfied. Are they, though? With standards like that, your revenues are bound to drop. Ugh! I must have hit a nerve. Haley's face turns from pale to fiery red. You're so rude, Luke. Why would you even marry a woman like this? Divorce her. I will never, ever, ever let her into our home. Luke, who had been watching the mother-in-law, daughter-in-law conflict unfold, lets out a heavy sigh. Fine. Luke? Arya, go clean the shed. Luke marches into his in-laws' house without making eye contact with me. Is he disappointed because I insulted his cherished mother in the family's hotel right in front of him? Haley, now sure that she has Luke on her side, snorts triumphantly. You've finally shown your true colors, and it looks like Luke has woken up. You better start cleaning your space. It's going to be particularly cold tonight. She walks into the house, almost dancing with joy, leaving me standing there alone, staring at the shed. Can this place really keep me warm, even in the winter? Should I just call a cab and prepare for divorce? I had no intention of doing whatever Haley told me, but I'm also not ready to part ways with Luke. Just as I'm lost in my thoughts, a familiar voice calls out. Arya, step aside for a moment. Huh? I turn around to find a monster made of mattresses. No, it's Luke, barely holding up a huge mattress. Without even looking at my puzzled face, Luke places the mattress inside the shed with a thud. Evo, wow, this double-bed mattress barely fits. Muttering to himself, Luke goes back to the main house and returns with 2 feather quilts, which he lays on the mattress. Dust flies up as he places them down. Haley notices what Luke's doing and rushes over, changing colors. What are you doing, Luke? I'm making the bed. You didn't expect us to sleep on the bare floor of the shed, did you? What? That's a $1,000 quilt and a $5,000 mattress. Luke responds with a face that says, so what? It's cold tonight. I'm making sure that Arya stays warm with the warmest things I could find in the house. You're borrowing them. Even with these, it still might be cold, but if we cuddle up, we should be fine. Huh? I look up at Luke in surprise, and he smiles back at me warmly. Of course, I'm sleeping here too. We're married after all. Luke. Turns out Luke is on my side after all. While I almost break down in relief, Haley distorts her face in confusion. Why? Why does Luke have to sleep there too? Why not? I'm not a little boy anymore. I don't sleep with my mom. Stunned, Haley retorts. What do you mean, why not? You're my son and the valuable heir to a prestigious hotel. This woman here is an unreasonable daughter-in-law who disrespects me. Plus, she's lowly and disgusting for working with waste every day. What's disgusting is you, Mom. What? Luke's voice turns colder than the February chill. You think you're valuable and look down on others. It's embarrassing. Luke! Arya, who finds value in a job many dislike, is far more wonderful. I proposed to her because I think she's beautiful in her spirit and her work ethic. I thought you, of all people, would understand. Mom, what a shame. But Luke! Ignoring a perplexed and frustrated Haley, who's bewildered by her son's defiance, Luke grabs my hand. I'm sorry for making this awkward. I thought we could have a good time at the cabin with just us, but let's head back. Whoa, wait a minute. Goodbye, Mom. Oh, looks like the stray cats really like the futon, so maybe you can just leave it. What? Ah, my $5,000 futon! Before we knew it, a cat had made itself comfortable on the luxurious bedding in the cabin. I bet that cat's fleas are having a field day as well. Let's go, Arya. Okay. Wait! Get that cat out of here! Please, get it out! Haley, apparently not a cat person, lets out a cry of desperation. Without a second glance, Luke puts me in a car and we leave my in-laws' house behind. Later, I tell Luke about all the horrible things Haley did to me. Luke sincerely apologizes, his face going pale, but I realize it's also my fault for not discussing it with him sooner. We agree to continue as a married couple under the conditions of better communication and never seeing Haley again. Luke's sincerity is reaffirmed, and I think it's not all bad for me. 3 days later, my parents-in-law show up at our home. Even though we agreed not to meet again, we give consent for one last face-to-face. Haley stands behind a stern-faced Grayson, tears in her eyes.
Luke, Arya, I heard you've been verbally abusive to Haley.
Apparently, Haley had falsely accused me of terrible things to Grayson when he returned from a meeting. Luke stands in front of me, facing Grayson.
I don't know what you heard from Mom, Dad, but I haven't said anything wrong.
Seeing Luke stand up to Grayson makes me fall for him all over again. But Haley won't stay silent. She clings to Grayson's arm, crying out, "Look, Grayson, Luke is being brainwashed by this woman. We have to take him home and get his head straight, or our hotel will be ruined."
The only one who's lost their sanity is you.
What? Haley freezes. Grayson slowly peels Haley's hand off of his arm.
It's you, isn't it, Haley? You were the one who mistreated Arya first.
What? What?
You've always treated employees horribly at work, Haley. It's pretty clear what must have happened.
Grayson looked at Haley with utter contempt. Realizing Grayson is not on her side, Haley visibly shakes. That's because they're incompetent. I'm just educating them.
Driving someone to tears is your idea of education? Ruining people mentally and physically till they quit?
But it's for the hotel.
If it's for the hotel, then why aren't you developing talent? Our customer service and cleaning have been slack, leading to guests saying, the quality has dropped since the previous generation.
Haley opens and closes her mouth, unable to retort to Grayson's words. As I suspected, the reputation of In-Laws Hotel has only gone downhill. And honestly, I'm not surprised that Haley's treatment of employees is the reason. Luke glares at Haley, his eyes a mix of contempt and sorrow. Grayson turns to me and bows his head.
Arya, I'm really sorry about my wife's behavior. I've told her time and again not to look down on people, but she just can't help herself. You don't ever have to see Haley again. Just don't give up on Luke.
Of course.
Arya, thank you.
At my clear affirmation, Luke's eyes well up with emotion. Grayson also smiles warmly. Just when it feels like a happy ending, Haley lets out a shrill scream. Wait! 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 This is insane! I am the mother, the wife, the family. You should treat me better than some random woman.
Don't worry. You'll soon be a stranger to us.
What?
Take care, Arya. Please look after Luke.
Dragging a flabbergasted Haley behind him, Grayson returns to the in-laws' house. A month later, my parents-in-law get divorced. Just as Grayson said, he and Haley become strangers to each other. Apparently, Haley's erratic behavior became legendary among the neighbors. Even after clinging so much, when Haley realized Grayson wouldn't budge, she demanded a hefty settlement. But clearly the cause of the divorce was on Haley's end. A lawyer who had been a family friend for generations fought hard for us. In the end, it seems Haley was ousted, with just a division of assets. Most of the assets she received were brand-named goods and artwork that Haley had hoarded, so it seems she got very little cash. Having lost her place to live, Haley tried to move into her parents' house where her brother and his wife were living, but even there she was rejected. It turns out she had always looked down upon her brother and his wife, who were farmers, as a lowly couple covered in mud. Eventually, she found herself living in an old apartment where mice scurried around and somehow managed to find a cleaning job. Friends no longer visited the condescending Haley. Her eyes, once full of confidence, had lost all their vigor. She looked so aged that people mistook her for being in her 70s, even though she's only in her 50s. It would be so nice if Haley could someday find a way to cleanse her soul through her cleaning job. 10 years later, General Manager, could you check the party venue, please? Sure. General Manager, there's an issue with a guest staying tonight. Sure. These days, I'm busy running the hotel that Luke inherited. Despite Haley's negativity, neither Luke nor I could allow this cherished hotel with its history and devoted clientele to decline further. We couldn't leave Grayson either. I received training at one of Grayson's acquaintances' hotels and became general manager when Luke took over 5 years ago. Although I still have much to learn, I take pride in our spotless amenities and high-quality service. Staff members are staying longer, and the old but still growing hotel is doing better than ever. Both Luke and Grayson treat me as if I'm some kind of savior, always making me feel cherished. Despite facing many challenges, I'm truly glad I married Luke.
This hotel made our trip great. We'll be back, so take care.
Thank you. I nod with heartfelt gratitude to the guests who speak warmly to us. That hasn't changed from the time I was a cleaner to now as a general manager. Seeing people enjoy the space I've made beautiful brings me the greatest joy.